The rope by which the goat was tethered had become tangled on the old plowshare. It was a statue which had fallen from its place on the wall, 5 fingers of stone projected from the back of the carving. There was a pattern of 5 holes arranged on the wall. They'd been drilled there deliberately. The statue was too heavy to lift. It overbalanced into the sand. As I swung the stone upright, I noticed it had left a pattern of holes in the sand. The 5 fingers on the back of the statue had left their impressions in the fine sand. I tried in vain to move the panel. The sack contained a fine white powder. As I dipped my fingers into the soft white powder, I realized what it was. Plaster of Paris. I'd used it in kindergarten to make casts of animal paw prints. The only object on the table which interested me was a small sack. I sprinkled the plaster on the sand until the holes were filled. I smoothed the plaster level with the sand. It was my first experience of home improvement. The patch of sand where the statue had fallen was covered with a dense sprinkling of plaster. It was a rectangle of toweling printed with the words, "Nagopaline stout builds body."
Hello.
Hello there. Let me introduce you to my pals.
We've already met. I want you to know you have my sympathy.
Oh, it's just terrible, awful.
It's the worst news I heard all day.
It's topped the bad news all right for this week and the next.
The whole year.
It's worse than that. It's the worst disaster in living memory.
Isn't it the biggest calamity in the history of the village?
I would say it's the biggest in the history of Ireland.
The most awesome disaster since mankind paddled out of the primal plot.
There's no beer.
Is a glass of beer more important than a man's life?
Were you talking to me?
To all of you. Sean Fitzgerald has met with God knows what, and all you can do is drink.
Sean has gone for a ride in a flash car, that's all. Why don't you calm down and join us?
What about Sean? Why aren't you out looking for him?
There's no point in launching an ill-equipped expedition to save the lad. In a life-or-death situation, preparation is essential. That's why I slipped in here.
For a point.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, but I wouldn't trust him. His eyes are too close together. He's not a friend of yours, is he?
Oh no, far from it. In fact, I believe it's the face of a killer.
I knew it! Piggy eyes. Can't trust him.
Come on, forget your prejudice and shake hands.
Never! It's not natural.
I gotta go. The faucet creaked, coughed, and spewed out a stream of rusty-colored water. I held the towel under the faucet and soaked it with water. I shut off the faucet as tight as I could, but it kept on dripping. The trickle of water was quickly absorbed by the plaster. I eased the solid piece of plaster from the sand. Underneath, it had formed a perfect copy of the statue. The hardened plaster cast fitted snugly into the 5 matching sockets. There was a soft thud, then silence.
So, where did you stay last night?
At McDevitt's, I got to drinking with Doyle and a couple of the guys.
That explains why you look so ill today. Did you get any sleep at all?
Not much. I had to share the room with another guy.
Did he snore?
Hardly. He was dead,
And you say Pigram has disappeared?
without a trace. But my visit wasn't a complete waste of time.
Pigram's gem?
The Templars' gem. Whoever Jacques Marquet is, he's in for a disappointment.
Jacques Marquet?
He's the guy who should have collected the gem from Fitzgerald.
What are your plans?
I want to find out who, what, or where Montfaucon was. All I've got to go by is the name and a picture of a hanged man. Do you want to look after the gem?
No, Georges. I'd be too tempted to sell it.
Hey, Nico, shake hands with me.
No chance, Buster.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. That's the tripod in the Crew Museum. That's the gem that Pegram found in Lochmarn. I can't sit here all day, much as I'd like to.
Okay. Don't forget to look for Lobineau at the Kron Museum. And why don't you see if Rousseau has heard anything?
Okay. Anything else I can do for you while I'm out? Shopping, a trip to the laundromat?
Just take care of yourself.
Excuse me.
Ah, Monsieur Stobart, n'est-ce pas?
That's correct. You remember me.
The retention of such data is part of my duty as a gendarme. That is how crime is fought, through attention to detail, not intuition.
Yes, sure. Would you like to shake my hand, Sergeant?
Not while I'm on duty, monsieur. The gesture could be misconstrued.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you, Sergeant?
That's a double-line Swedish with a crosshatch Bergman strike strip. Now, that's unusual. Pre-war Anderson hinging.
Really?
I haven't seen a reinforced Anderson outside of a private collection.
It's rare, then?
In this part of the world, yes. There are only 3 places these are made. Taiwan, Manila, and Slough.
I'd like to report an assault.
Yes, monsieur? Where is the victim?
I'm the victim. I've been harassed by a pair of thugs.
I see. And where did this alleged assault take place?
Outside the Hotel Ubu. They stopped me as I was leaving and went through my pockets.
Could you describe the suspects, monsieur?
One looked like a gorilla, and the other looked like a weasel. Their names are Flap and Guido.
Bon. I'll get them this time.
What are you going to do about Flap and Guido, Sergeant?
I'm going to bust them, monsieur. For years I have been hoping to pin something on that pair. Now's my chance. I'll show them. And the inspector.
Thanks, Sergeant. Thanks for taking me seriously.
I'm only doing my duty, monsieur.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur.
It's the guy who bombed the cafe. The clown.
This man looks nothing like a clown.
He's taken off his grease paint and costume.
Then there is nothing to link this man with the killing.
Nothing? Look at those murderous eyes.
Hardly likely to get him convicted.
I really did see the clown. He ran into the alley across the street.
Did you follow him?
That's your job, not mine.
An armed chase through the streets of Paris? That's not our style, monsieur. Inspector Rousseau may be unorthodox, but he's not crazy.
Have you heard of a man called Marquet?
Yes. He used to be known as the Mole of Montmartre. I heard he's been hospitalized, probably by one of his rivals.
Which hospital was Marquet taken to?
The Hagenmeyer Clinic in the Avenue des Hérissons.
Why was Marquet known as the Mole of Montmartre?
Because he lived in Montmartre, I suppose.
Yeah, but why the mole?
I don't know. Maybe he ruined people's lawns.
Do you know a man named Khan? He's a shifty-looking guy with a scar on his left cheek.
No, monsieur. Has this man any connection with the bombing of the cafe?
Yes. I believe Khan was the name he used when he hired the clown costume. Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. Stobart is here to see you, monsieur.
Did he say what it was about?
No, monsieur.
Very well.
Hi, Inspector. Remember me?
But of course, Mr. Stobart. My mind is a well-ordered faculty. A mental classification system that's the envy of the Bibliothèque Nationale. No tricks, mark you, monsieur. Just exercise. Just as our muscles waste through inactivity, so our minds decay. But there is no need. If only people would learn to exercise their wits daily.
If he was trying to impress me, it worked. He was pompous and patronizing, but he had style.
Eh bien, if you called about the bombing, you're too late. Investigations have been closed, but I've been taken off the case.
What about the murderer, the dead guy?
It is out of my hands.
Do you know a pair of thugs called Flap and Guido?
I have known those two since they graduated from special school. Flap is a nasty piece of work, but Guido is the real brains of the partnership. Where did you hear of them?
I met them out front of the Hotel Ubu. Ever heard of a guy called Marquet? Jacques Marquet?
Marquet. I know the name well. He has a record for suspected blackmail, kidnapping, arson, and art theft.
An all-rounder, huh? How come he's on the loose?
His bravado is matched only by the courtroom skills of his attorney.
Have you heard of Professor Pegram, the archaeologist?
Molly Pegram, the second son of Lord Barclay Pegram.
I don't know. I only read about him in a magazine.
So much for the efficacy of rehabilitation. What has he done this time?
He made an important archaeological find in Ireland. Do you know Pegram well?
I have connections with the family, but I wouldn't say I knew him at all.
Is his name really Molly?
Of course not. That was the nickname he was given at school. All his friends and acquaintances know him as Molly.
Don't you want to know what I found out about the killer?
I told you, monsieur, the case is closed. I have washed my hands of the whole affair.
Then I'll have to continue my investigations without your help.
No, you must forget the business of the clown completely. Go back to being an ordinary tourist, Stobart.
Would you care to shake my hand, Inspector?
Please don't be offended if I decline your offer, Stobart. The palms of my hands are particularly sensitive.
Did you find out the ID of the guy who was killed in the explosion?
I already knew who he was.
I heard that the bomb victim's name was Plantar.
Your sources are reliable.
He was a big shot at the Treasury, wasn't he?
Maybe that's why you've been taken off the case.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I cannot comment.
What was that psycho-detective business you did in the cafe?
It is my theory that the passions evoked in violent crimes create ripples in the ether, invisible to all but the possessor of a highly developed and receptive mind.
I'm impressed. Can you bend spoons, too?
I didn't think a man of your obvious intelligence would stoop to mockery.
I'm not mocking. I've had personal experience of the power of the mind. I used to get ignored at parties until I read a book that changed my life.
Really? What was it called?
Hypnotism for Fun and Profit. He looked at me as if I'd farted at a funeral.
The power of mesmerism is a rare gift, not a party trick.
You're not going to try any of that psychic interrogation on me, are you?
Do you find the thought of my probing distasteful?
Let's just say I'd rather you didn't. I've got more doubts than doubting Thomas when it comes to mysticism.
Too bad. I think you would make an interesting subject under controlled regression.
The day I let anyone mess with my mind hasn't dawned yet. Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
No, monsieur. I suggest you ask Sergeant Moo about that. God only knows why, but he collects matchbooks. He claims it is a hobby.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
I'd imagine it means you have not given up your pursuit of the clown.
You're absolutely right. I found this tissue in the sewer.
It would have been best if you'd left it there.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
You already asked me that. I told you. No.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No.
It's the face of a killer.
The man who bombed the cafe?
The photograph was taken soon after the explosion. He'd escaped through the sewers, leaving a trail of clues behind him.
Circumstantial evidence, Stobbard. None of it proves a thing.
Did I show you this photograph?
Oui? You're still convinced he is the killer?
Absolutely. Does the name Thomas Merlin mean anything to you?
No, monsieur, nothing.
It's another one of the assumed names used by the killer.
Ah, the famous killer clown case.
Yeah. You might have forgotten all about it, but I still aim to find that guy. Does the name Thomas Merlin mean anything to you?
No, monsieur.
What do you make of this, Rosso?
It is a tool for gaining access to sewers.
What do you make of this, Inspector?
Astounding. Where did you come by a stone like that?
I was given it by a man in a bar in Ireland. Do you recognize the gem?
It is unfamiliar to me. If such a jewel had been stolen, I would know it for sure.
Would you like to see the gem again?
No, thank you.
What do you make of this white powder, Rosso?
It is plaster.
Say, you're good. So long, Inspector. Excuse me.
What do you want now?
I found this red nose in the sewer.
What were you doing down there?
Fishing for clues. That's where the clown went.
You still insist you saw a clown, monsieur?
Of course. And this novelty nose proves it.
It will take more than a plastic proboscis to convince Inspector Rousseau.
You don't want this as evidence, then?
Certainly not, monsieur.
Are you sure you don't want this false nose?
Don't try my patience, monsieur.
Do you recognize this dirty tissue?
No, monsieur, I do not.
I found it in the sewer.
Perhaps it would be better if you put it back there.
No way! This could be an important clue.
If you say so, monsieur.
Maybe not. Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur.
It's the guy who bombed the cafe. The clown.
This man looks nothing like a clown.
He's taken off his grease paint and costume.
Then there is nothing to link this man with the killing.
Nothing? Look at those murderous eyes.
Hardly likely to get him convicted.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you, Sergeant?
That's a double-lined Swedish with a crosshatch Bergman strike strip. Now, that's unusual. Pre-war Anderson hinging.
Really?
I haven't seen a reinforced Anderson outside of a private collection.
It's rare then?
In this part of the world, yes. There are only 3 places these are made. Taiwan, Manila, and Slough.
Maybe not. What do you suppose this tool is used for, Sergeant Moo?
It looks like something an obstetrician would use, monsieur.
It was with tools like this that the clown made his escape.
I don't understand.
He opened up the hole and disappeared into the bowels of the earth.
If you say so, monsieur.
Did I show you my tool, Sergeant?
Yes, monsieur. Unfortunately, you did.
Do you recognize this dirty tissue?
I told you, no, monsieur.
Does the name Merlin mean anything to you, Sergeant?
Nothing, monsieur.
Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. It's Stobart, monsieur. He insists on talking to you again.
Thank you, Moo. What now, monsieur?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter? You call me from my desk and you say it doesn't matter? I could have you arrested for wasting police time.
I'm sorry. The old building managed to retain some of its original grandeur, but the modern additions looked like a baseball cap on a statue of a medieval saint. There was no sign of the crew of the ambulance. I felt a little guilty as I tried the door, like I was about to rob a grave. I gripped the handle with an involuntary tremble in my hand and pulled. The door was locked. Hi, my name's George Stobart.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
Call me George if you like.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's my name.
My name's Benoit, but everyone calls me Bunny.
Bunny?
That's right. I used to have this cute habit when I was a kid.
Keep it to yourself, Benoit. Shake my hand, Benoit.
I don't think that's a good idea, sir.
How come?
Dermatitis.
I don't have dermatitis.
I do.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur. I've never seen him before.
Do you know anything about a patient named Marquet?
And no, sir, I don't know much about any of the patients.
I've never met a doctor who admits that he's only human.
I'm only a trainee, sir. I'm sure I'll get the hang of things.
See you later.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
Is this the Hagenmeyer Clinic?
That's correct.
I thought I was in a garden center.
Oh, the plans. They were my idea. A little greenery to evoke the spirit of nature. How may I help you?
I'd like to shake you by the hand.
Don't be fresh, young man.
Has Marquet been visited by a man in a clown costume?
Oh, no.
You haven't seen a man in disguise?
Well, there's Theodore the bear. He comes every Thursday to entertain the children. Personally, I think he scares them half to death in that crummy old bear suit. If I was stuck on my back with tubes in every orifice, he's the last person I'd want to see.
Has Marquet had a visit from a pair of gangsters?
I should hope not. Can you describe them?
A thin guy who looks like a weasel and his friend, a gorilla.
Sounds as if they escaped from a zoo.
Have you seen this man here at the clinic?
No, sir. And I never forget a face.
I'm here to see Jacques Marquet.
Oh, yes. Are you related to our client, sir?
No, I'm conducting a private investigation.
Then I can't help you.
So, do I get to see Marquet before the funeral?
That attitude will get you nowhere. My instructions were quite clear. No one gets to see Marquet. So unless you can prove you're a relative or a close acquaintance, you're wasting your time here.
Look at this ID pass.
So you're Merlin. Marquet's been asking for you.
For me?
Yes. He was shouting your name when they brought him in here. Now, let me see. He was on Ward B12, as I recall. Oh, he's being transferred to... Oh, dear. He's on Ward J2. That's Nurse Grendel's ward.
What's so bad about Nurse Grendel?
She runs that ward like a South American prison.
Keeping a well-disciplined ward isn't a crime, is it?
Well disciplined. In the discipline and punishment stakes, she'd whip the butt off the Marquis de Sade. Everything, I mean everything, is done to a strict routine. 6 o'clock, alarm call. 6:10, bowel movement, and woe betide anyone who doesn't have a result. Those patients of hers are like Pavlova's dogs.
She sounds like a real nightmare.
And then some.
If Nurse Grendel is that bad, how come the authorities tolerate her?
She's like part of the furniture.
Oh, you mean she's been here a long time?
No, I mean there's not a man in this clinic who hasn't sprawled out on her.
I was beginning to get the picture. This woman was jealous, with a big green capital J. How do I find Nurse Grendel's ward?
Down the corridor on the left, turn right at the senior consultant's washroom. Right again at the executive coffee lounge. Bear left past the administrator's sauna. And turn left at the end. That's J2. And good luck.
Thanks for your help, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name's George Stovard.
Really? If you wish to make an appointment, see the receptionist.
May I have the honor of shaking you by the hand?
You may not. I don't encourage physical contact between my staff.
Do you recognize this red nose, sir?
No, I do not. This is a hospital, not a circus ring. We minister to the sick in body, not the sick in mind.
Thanks for your help.
As I turned the corner, I saw the source of the hellish noise which echoed through the corridors. It was an industrial polishing machine with an odd-looking guy in tow.
Hello.
What's that?
I said hello.
Oh, hiya.
I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
That's what I thought you said. Don't look so down in the mouth. No matter how bad things seem, I never let life get on top of me.
Oh, yeah? What's your secret?
Why, it's easy. All you have to do is smile and whistle this little tune.
You know what? If you start whistling, I'll bust you in the teeth.
It's a deal.
Do you know a nurse called Grendel?
Sure I do.
Is she on duty today?
Yeah. End of the corridor, Ward J2.
Would you like to shake my hand?
Not until I've washed, if you don't mind, sir. You can pick up all kinds of things in a hospital.
Like nurses, right?
No, sir. Bugs and germs. And fungal infections.
Have you seen any unsavory characters lurking about in the corridors?
No, sir, I haven't. But I've got nothing to worry about. What's that, Mr. Shiny? You'd take good care of the rascals, I'll bet you would. With a friend like him, I've no fear of oppressors.
It must be a great comfort.
He is.
Would Mr. Shiny be your polishing machine by any chance?
Please, don't call him that. He's more of a friend than a machine. I've had Mr. Shiny for 3 years, and he's never let me down once.
How come you got so attached to a polishing machine?
I asked you not to call him that. He's got a name, you know.
Yeah, Mr. Shiny. It's just that...
You think it's odd, don't you?
No, I
don't mind. The rest of the staff think I'm twisted. I heard them snorking behind me back when I gave Mr. Shiny his weekly pull through.
Whatever you've got with this metal mopfoot is probably a fine and noble thing.
It is. Say, it's not every day I meet someone as crazy as me.
Do you know where I'd find a patient called Marquet?
No, I'm not allowed on the wards with Mr. Shiny.
See you later.
Yeah, take care now. Hey now, you can't go in there.
How come?
I'm responsible for the contents of that cupboard.
As I tugged the plug out of the socket, the polishing machine coughed, spluttered, and died.
Mr. Shiny, what's wrong, pal?
Dr. Stobart at your service. I guess the water cooler was for the use of people lost in the corridors. Maybe the face of the unaccountably happy domestic had made me unduly suspicious. I mean, I knew it was only my imagination, but the water tasted, well, peculiar.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Oh, hi. Is this Ward J2?
Yes, sir. The patients are ready for your inspection, Doctor.
Thank you, nurse. Well, who's first?
Monsieur Croquet in bed 2.
What's his problem?
He's been complaining of loss of consciousness. You'll need this, Doctor.
She gave me a long, narrow metal box and a stunning smile. Thanks. Hi, I'm Dr. Stobart.
Hello, Doctor.
The nurse told me you keep losing consciousness.
That's right. I've had the problem as long as I can remember. It's a real out-of-body experience. Like death, but not so conclusive.
I see. How long does it last?
Just a fraction of a second, and then I recover.
I might not have been a doctor, but I was formulating a diagnosis all the same. This guy was nuts. I know exactly what you mean. It's known in the medical field as blinking.
Is it serious?
Of course it isn't serious. It's perfectly natural.
But just think, 2 seconds every minute. Why, that's almost half an hour every day. 2 weeks out of every year spent in total darkness.
I don't have time to listen to this baloney. I thought about giving him an electric shock, but I just couldn't do that to a sick guy. Do you know what this piece of equipment is called?
No, I don't.
Which bed is Marquet in?
He's round the corner, in solitary.
What's the matter with him?
I don't know, but the men who brought him in were wearing masks and rubber gloves. Hey, you're a doctor. How come you don't know?
We doctors don't know everything.
Then how come you act like you do?
Has Marquet had any visitors?
Nah, neither have I. That's the worst thing about being in hospital. You feel like the rest of the world has abandoned you.
Well, you know how it is. Life goes on.
Thanks for those comforting words.
Well, goodbye and good luck.
Thanks, Doc.
The graph showed a steady decline in his pulse rate and an increase in his blood pressure. It kind of shook me to see this guy's life reduced to a few jagged lines. The poor guy's temperature had been up and down like a white knuckle ride. No wonder he looked so sick.
Could you take a look at the client in bed number 3 now? His name is Eric Sopmarsh.
What's his problem?
He's delirious. He just now came out of theater. He's recovering from major surgery.
I'll have him up and about before you can say, Lazarus, get out of your bed and walk. Hello? Anybody home?
Who are you?
My name is Dr. Stobart, and I'm here to steer you down the rocky road to recovery.
Dr. Monroe said there was no cure for what I've got.
Your problem is you stayed in bed too long.
Are you sure you're a qualified doctor?
You better believe it. I thought about giving him an electric shock, but I just couldn't do that to a sick guy. What's your impression of Nurse Grendel?
She's a very efficient young woman.
Efficient? You make her sound like a vacuum cleaner.
I've no complaints.
I'm going to take your blood pressure.
Why?
I'm a doctor. It's my job. The woman in reception described Nurse Grendel as a monster.
Well, that's simply not true. She's quite strict, but that's her job, isn't it? You've got to have discipline in a place like this.
What can you tell me about Marquet?
He's the man in the private room, isn't he? That room was mine before I was tossed out like a common squatter.
Do you know what's wrong with Marquet?
They won't even say what's wrong with me. Tell me, Doctor, what's your opinion?
It's too early to say.
But I've been here for 3 months.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, Doctor. Who is it?
A cold-blooded killer.
Really? He's a debt ringer for my bank manager. Of course, Mr. Soames hasn't got a scar, and he doesn't come from the Middle East. His hair's a lot grayer, too. Otherwise, it's just like him.
Remarkable. See you later. His temperature was normal, with little fluctuation either way.
Doctor?
What is it now, nurse?
Number 2 again. He won't tell me what he wants. He says he'll only talk to a man.
Do I have to? That guy's nuts.
Doctor, I'm surprised at you. There's no way to talk about our clients.
Okay, I'll see him. But I'm telling you, he's a hypochondriac. Hello again. Do you recognize this red nose?
Nah, I don't.
Have you any idea what this is?
Please, take it away before I throw up.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Nah, Doctor. Who is it?
A cold-blooded killer.
One of your colleagues?
No, he really is a murderer.
I've never seen him before.
Have you ever heard of the Club Alamut?
Nah, I haven't.
Do you know what this tool is used for?
Eye surgery.
That's a dumb thing to say. It's not sharp enough. Do you know what this is?
Is it self-raising flour?
No. Does this gem mean anything to you?
No, Doctor.
Have you heard of a guy called Merlin?
No, Doctor.
Well, goodbye and good luck.
Thanks, Doc.
Do you have any clowns on the ward?
Why, yes, we do. A professional clown.
I'll bet he lightens the place up.
Hardly. Monsieur Boissy has been in a coma for the last 3 months.
Would you like to shake hands with me?
Well,
No, it's okay. Forget it. I didn't really want to use it on her anyway. What's wrong with Boissy?
he was involved in a very nasty accident. A silly stunt involving a unicycle. His current condition is due to post-traumatic shock. It's unlikely he'll ever perform as a clown again.
It's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. Do you have a patient named Marquet on this ward?
Oui, monsieur. He is in the private room at the end of the ward. He has been placed in strict isolation.
Why is Marquet in quarantine?
If you wish to know more, you'll have to speak to Herr Hagenmeier. All I know is that Marquet's room is strictly out of bounds.
Do you know who paid for Marquet's room?
No, of course I don't.
Preferential treatment like that must cost an arm and a leg.
That's not my concern, monsieur.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, I don't.
Thank you, nurse.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Excuse me, sir.
You must be the new boy.
Yeah, I must be.
Well, stop wandering about and make yourself useful. Bernie, come here, boy. This is Benoit, my nephew. Can I trust you to look after him?
Do your own babysitting, Gramps. Who do you think you are, anyhow?
I am Felix Hagenmeyer.
And may I say what an honor it is to meet you in person, sir. You are on my medical wall of fame. Right up there with Pasteur and Leary. I look on it as a privilege, no, an honor, to look after your nephew, sir.
He is fresh out of medical school. It will open his eyes to see a real doctor on the job.
I'll bet.
Show him around. Let him see some real suffering.
Look what Nurse Grendel gave me, sir.
Ah, yes, very good. I'm glad to see you're carrying it with you. It reassures the public to see the medical profession using traditional archaic tools.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, sir, I do not.
So long, Hagenmeyer. Hey, Benoit.
There's no need to shout. What do you want?
Do you know the nurse on Ward J2?
No, miss. This is my first day here. I can't wait to get my hands dirty. I was talking about treating my first patient, of course. I didn't mean I'd get my hands dirty with a nurse.
Shut up, Benoit.
Okay, sir.
Follow me, Benoit.
I'm right behind you, sir.
What is this device?
It's for taking the patient's blood pressure, doctor.
Does this gem mean anything to you?
It's beautiful, but I've never seen it before.
Do you recognize this tissue?
No, I don't. It looks like a chronic health risk to me.
Well, I've been carrying it around for days and I'm okay. My pocket's getting a little soggy. Do you recognize this red nose?
Oh dear. I don't think he'll be needing that again.
Who?
Monsieur Boissy, the comatose clown.
Does this mean anything to you?
The Club Alamut? I've never heard of it.
Is this plaster any use to you?
No, it isn't.
Do you know Merlin of Gruber Electronics?
No, I don't.
Thank you, nurse.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Hey, Benoit.
Yes, sir?
Forget it.